Hello guys, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be talking about the NHL postponing all of their playoff games today, both the Islanders-Flyers game and the Canucks versus Golden Knights game. Now this of course came after the response of the NBA postponing their games yesterday. The NHL kind of had their reflection thing yesterday after, or before actually, the Tampa-Boston game, but today it looks like these playoff games will actually be postponed. Now, first today we saw the Hockey Diversity Alliance all coming together and saying in tweets that they requested formally for the NHL to postpone these games today. And then we saw Elliot Friedman with a big bomb saying, quote, players being told to prepare for cancellations tonight. We also had Pierre LeBrun saying that all signs pointing to possible postponement tonight. Source says that that's the likely outcome. And also Darren Dreger saying that the NHL PA is conducting a call shortly to discuss the growing sense players favor postponing the games today. So also that coming from the players is pretty huge. If you're watching this though and haven't already, hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so, and also hit that like button if you enjoy these type of hockey news videos just like this one. But when it comes to today, I hope that you respect my opinion and I'll respect yours as well. Let me know down in the comments what you think of it. Hopefully we can have a respectful discussion here, though it is also YouTube comments, so I don't know what I'm hoping for. But the first thing I want to mention with this whole thing is, firstly, this is completely within the NHL players' rights. This is one of the most peaceful ways you can go about protesting, just not doing the games, not playing, and it is completely within their right. Whether you agree with it or not, they should be able to have the choice to do it, and it looks like most of this is also coming from the players, so that is pretty huge. And I think with that, of course, it's totally within our right. If they want to do it, they should be able to do it, and it looks like they'll be able to do it here. We saw earlier with the Islanders as well, Barry Trotz saying that he had a discussion with his team about what to do going forward, and we'll see what happens there. I would expect the Islanders to be a pretty big part of that. So again, looks like the Islanders-Flyers game and the Canucks-Golden Knights game will both be not canceled, but postponed to a later date. The second thing I want to touch on also is that when it comes to these postponements, just like the NBA and just like all the other sports leagues that are doing this right now, for me personally, and obviously I'm still a pretty young guy, at least I hope, I'm 17 years old, but one of my main mottos in life is actions are so much more important than performative words. And there has been the NHL coming out. I mean, one of the weirdest things of all time is during that whole session and during that whole remembrance or just moment to reflect thing before the Tampa-Boston game, they just had end racism on the big board. And it's like, okay, that is very funny, but how is that going to change anything, right? I mean, unless we see some actual change coming from the NHL, then, and the NBA as well, then I don't know what we're doing here. Personally, with the NBA also, it was very funny because they had all the statements, and you had like guys like LeBron who were for China and all that different stuff. Absolutely free Hong Kong. And the problem is that those players that wanted to support Hong Kong weren't able to do so. So in that kind of sense, supporting human rights, they weren't on one side, but they were on the other. Kind of funny to me. Obviously, the NHL isn't as involved in that respect, but it is kind of sad that we do have all of this, but no actual action that's actually been laid out by the NHL. They obviously want to stop racism and they have the We Skate for Equality stuff, but that's just words. That's just saying stuff. Obviously, it's nice to have the vocal support, but unless you're actually putting out your pocket to do stuff that actually helps minorities and people of color, especially in hockey, then to me it's just not even anything. Obviously, I think there is some influence when it comes to these sports leagues, but I do also agree with the notion that the NBA, the NHL suspending their play, or not suspending, but postponing their game, isn't really going to change anybody's minds. It's not putting any facts out there, it's not doing anything. It is having more support, and it is showing more attention to that. But again, we've already been so involved with that over the past few months that it doesn't matter quite as much, I would say, if it did a few months back. And for me personally, again, if there's no actual actions taken here, then there's no real reason to postpone these games. I mean, we saw earlier with the Hockey Diversity Alliance, we were also reminded again by a tweet that one of the proposals they had for the NHL was to have all the NHL arenas open up as polling centers for the election this year. And I think that's a fantastic idea that's actually changed, that can help people vote more easily, and that's amazing. But the NHL has not accepted that proposal, and I don't know if that'll actually happen, which is a sad thing. I mean, that's such a big thing. Voting is such a big thing, and we should all absolutely do it if we have the choice. But to me, that's a big thing that the NHL could also do that they just have not been doing. And again, those actions need to be made. If they're going to postpone these games, there actually has to be something. And maybe not even just that, just putting money out of the pocket for the NHL for helping diverse hockey, especially in the minor leagues, in junior hockey, in midget, making sure that those players have an opportunity to play. I mean, there's so many people out there that I know that love hockey and just can't afford to play it. And to me, that's one of the main reasons why hockey isn't as popular as the rest of the sports. That kind of initiative and that kind of support goes a super long way. And I feel like the NHL isn't as clear as they could be in what they're doing there. And it's a shame because, again, you're postponing all these games, you're doing all this stuff, but it's just raising awareness, which is fine, it's great, but you're not actually making any real change in the nitty-gritty things in terms of supporting those startups, in terms of supporting the people that need it. And I feel like the NHL has a real opportunity here to do that, but if they only postpone the games tonight and just go business as usual tomorrow and don't actually do anything, then I think it's just a response to the NBA doing it and not actually the NHL doing anything to actually help anybody. And that, to me, that is the biggest problem also, is that with the NHL and with the NBA not suspending, but postponing yesterday, the NHL was kind of screwed if they did it. And if they didn't. If they did it today, they were screwed because they were going to be called late for doing it. If they didn't do it, they would be screwed and be called for not doing it. But again, to me, it doesn't matter as much if they do it or not. It's about the actions they actually put into place. And we haven't really seen too much from the NHL in that department, at least publicly. I know that they do a lot of work in there in terms of funding minor hockey, in terms of opening rinks and stuff like that, but it really actually needs to be visible to everybody. What is the NHL doing? We need to know that, and I think it's about time that we do know what they're actually doing, what they're actually funding, and if they're actually doing anything. To me, that is what is most important. Besides these postponing games, actually making action is what should be the most important thing, I think, for the NHL today. And the thing is also is that the NBA is returning tomorrow also, so it just looks kind of bad on the NHL's end that they are a day late and that they will have games the same day as the NBA, but also the NBA is coming back at the same time. It's a weird situation, but also for the NHL, again, I felt like if they were going to do it, they should have just done it yesterday. They should have just had that plan in place earlier instead of doing it now. And I know, obviously, they had the Islanders-Flyers game, I'm pretty sure, when the NBA news broke, but I feel like they did have enough time to maybe postpone that Tampa-Boston game and also that later game in Dallas-Colorado, but I think it's just kind of an empty gesture now, and now just following the leader of the NBA, and I don't know if there'll be actually any change from that, which is obviously sad. And again, one final point here that I do want to discuss is, obviously these games will be played at a later date, but again, for just the NHL itself, if they just put end racism on the big board and don't do anything about it, then there's nothing that's going to happen. A racist isn't going to look at an end racism screen and feel like, I'm a changed man. No, it's just not going to happen. It's supporting the grassroots stuff. It's supporting people and people of color that want to get into hockey. That's the kind of stuff that needs to happen. Instead of focusing so much effort on the we skate equality stuff, which is obviously, again, a good gesture, but to me, it's nothing more than that. Unless the NHL actually makes big change and actually, put stuff out of their pocket, then I'm not sure if that change is going to actually happen. And I like the work of the Hockey Diversity Alliance. I love what they're doing. Some of the players involved there, some really smart guys over there. And the change they're making is super, super important. But again, if the NHL doesn't want to change anything, if they don't actually make change and just put end racism on the billboard, there's not going to be too much change to be made, and I'm just hoping the NHL actually corrects that instead of just postponing the games and just moving on. Actually do something. Make this postponement actually worth it. Actually do something and take action. To me, that's what matters the most, and if the NHL doesn't do that, then to me, there's really no point in doing it. Because again, they're probably going to be back tomorrow. I can't remember what games are tomorrow. I think it would be Tampa, Boston, and then Dallas, Colorado, if I had to suspect. So again, they will be back the same day as the NBA. So if it is just a blanket statement, if it is just a nice gesture, then to me, there's no point in doing it. But let me know down in the comments down below what you think of this whole thing. Are you for? Are you against it? Let me know what you think the NHL should do here as well. Of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button too. Stay as respectful as possible. Again, this is YouTube comments, so I'm not expecting too much, but that's just my opinion. opinion, take it as you will. Of course, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video with friends, get it out there, and click on this card right here to watch all my videos on the NHL playoffs. My name is Nathan, and I'll see you guys next video or stream. Goodbye.